Welcome to Elsa Books Podcast.
It's great to be here.
It's funny. Public speaking is always like at the top of those lists of what people fear most.
Yeah, right up there with spiders.
Right. Heights, spiders, snakes,
Yeah.
and talking in front of a crowd. But then you add another layer to it, like a spiritual weight.
Mm.
So preaching or teaching, suddenly the pressure isn't just, am I going to look silly? It feels, well, the stakes feel infinitely higher.
That's so true. It's not just performance anxiety anymore. It becomes about responsibility. You're not just giving a talk. You're trying to convey something, deeply significant.
Exactly. And I think because of that, a lot of people treat it as this mystical thing, like it's a gift you're born with, or you just have to wait for lightning to strike when you get behind the podium.
The old open your mouth and hope for the best method. It's surprisingly common. But today we're kind of pulling back the curtain on that.
We are. We're doing a deep dive into R.A. Torrey's How to Work for Christ. Specifically, Book 3, Preaching and Teaching the Word of God.
And this really isn't just for pastors or preachers. I think that's important to say up front.
Oh, not at all. Torrey was, a classic evangelist from that late 19th, early 20th century era. But what he lays out here is basically a masterclass in the mechanics of communication.
It really is. If you've ever had to persuade someone, teach a class, or just get your own thoughts in order to make a point, this stuff is gold.
It's almost like a guide to rhetoric disguised as a preaching manual.
Precisely. He just strips all the mystery away and says, look, this isn't magic. It's a craft. It's a discipline. And honestly, he has zero patience for people who try to wing it.
He really doesn't. So our mission today is to unpack his toolkit. We're going to look at how you catch an idea, how you structure an argument like a lawyer, the ethics of storytelling, which gets surprisingly heated,
Oh, that's a great section.
and then the delivery itself.
It's really a blueprint for how to take an idea and, drive it home.
So let's start where he starts. Preparation. Before you do anything else, you need a subject. And this is where he really goes after that inspiration-only crowd.
He comes out swinging. There's this excuse you hear sometimes, this idea of, I'll just trust the moment. I'll open my mouth wide and it'll be filled.
Right. Like if I prepare too much, I'm not leaving room for the spirit or I won't sound authentic in a meeting.
Yeah. And Torrey just calls that what it is. Laziness disguised as faith. He has this one line that just hits so hard. He says, God does not set a premium on neglect.
Oof. That's a heavy one.
It is. I mean, if you have a week to prepare and you don't, you can't just expect a miracle to bail you out.
So how do we get that definite thing to talk about? We've all been there staring at a blank page.
Well, he has this really practical tip. It sounds a bit old-fashioned, but the principle is timeless. He calls it the vest pocketbook.
The little notebook.
Exactly. Carry a small notebook with you everywhere. Because your best ideas, they never come when you're sitting at your desk trying to have them.
No, they come when you're in the shower or walking the dog.
They do, and you have to catch them right then. He tells this fantastic little story about Ralph Waldo Emerson.
I love this. His wife wakes up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's pitch black, and she hears him stumbling around the room. So she asks, Ralph, what are you doing? Are you sick? And he just says, no, I'm not sick. I had a thought, and I wanted to pin it.
Pin it. It's such a great image. Like the thought is a butterfly that's about to fly away.
And Torrey says that's the difference. The genius pins the thought. The dreamer just lets it go.
Okay, so you've pinned a thought. Now you need to build on it. Torrey talks about selecting a text or a core topic. And he gives this warning about something I think we've all sat through.
Oh, the dreaded expository series that just goes on and on and on.
The danger of being insufferably dry.
It is a cardinal sin for him. He talks about the preacher who decided to go through a long, dense book of the Bible, verse by verse.
Which sounds disciplined, in theory.
In theory. But he was so boring, so determined to cover every single verse, that the congregation basically threatened to boycott the church until he was done with that book.
That's amazing. We'll be back when you're finished with Numbers.
It's brutal, but it makes his point. You can't just drone on. He suggests a different method from George Mueller, who would just read and reread a text until verse sort of grabbed him.
So it's about what resonates with you first.
Yes. If it doesn't grab you, it's not going to grab your audience.
Okay, so we've pinned the thought. We're excited about it. Now we build the talk. And this is where he makes that shift.
Yeah.
The preacher versus the lawyer.
Yes. And this is, I think, the absolute core of his philosophy on structure. So many speakers think their job is to create a work of art.
Right. A perfect, beautiful speech.
A perfect discourse. But a lawyer doesn't care about being pretty.
A lawyer wants a verdict.
A lawyer wants a verdict. That's it. That's the whole game, to get the jury to make a decision. And Torrey says a sermon, or any speech really, can be rhetorically perfect, but if it doesn't do any good, it's just a beautiful fraud.
A beautiful fraud. Wow.
Yeah.
It's another heavy line.
It is. He uses that fishing analogy. You've got the scientific angler with the $1,000 rod in perfect form, but he catches nothing.
All gear, no fish.
Then you've got the boy with a stick and a bent pin who fills a basket with trout. And Torrey asks, who's the better fisherman?
The boy with the fish, obviously.
So he says, be the boy. The goal is to catch the fish, not show off your fancy tackle.
So if that's the goal, how do we structure the points to get that verdict? He talks about interrogating the text.
I love this technique. He says, don't try to make points, find them. You just hit your topic with questions. Who? What? Why? What are the results?
Like it's a witness on the stand.
Exactly. He says to imagine your audience as a collection of big question marks. Your job is to answer their questions. But, and this is the really hard part, you have to leave things out.
The temptation to tell them everything you know.
Everything. You did the research, you found 12 cool things, and you want to use all 12.
To show you did the work.
Right. And Torrey says, ruthlessly, don't. Pick the points that are best for this audience right now. If you try to say everything, they'll remember nothing.
And the order matters too. He talks about logical order versus startling order.
Yeah, this is interesting. Logic is good, but sometimes logic can be a bit sleepy. He says sometimes you need to break the pattern and hit them with something startling to wake them up.
A rhetorical jump scare.
Kind of, but the one rule he is firm on is the climax. Never put your strongest point first and then just taper off.
Don't start with a bang and end with a whimper.
You have to build. Your final point has to be the one that demands a decision. It's the moment the lawyer says, the prosecution rests.
Okay, structure is in place now.
Yeah.
Illustrations, stories. Torrey seems to think these aren't just decorative.
No, they're functional. He calls them the windows of the house. A house with no windows is dark and stuffy. Abstract truth is hard to grasp. Illustrations make it concrete.
And he also says they rest the mind. I found that interesting.
It implies that listening is work, and it is. Your audience can't maintain intense logical focus for 30 minutes straight. They just can't.
So a story isn't a detour, it's a rest stop.
It's a rest stop. It lets them breathe, and then they can come back to the argument refreshed. It actually helps them pay attention longer.
But he's careful about where you get them. He mentions history, the Bible, and science, but with a warning.
Yeah, he warns against using exploded science.
Exploded science.
Science has been disproven. He says some speakers have a bad habit of grabbing onto a theory just as the actual scientists are throwing it out.
That feels very relevant today.
Extremely. His point is, if you use bad science to make your point, you discredit your entire message. It makes you look foolish.
Which brings us to what I think is the most intense part of this whole book. The ethics of storytelling. The pious frauds.
He really drops the hammer here. And this is for anyone who tells stories for a living, really. There's always that temptation to, fudge the details a little bit to make it a better story.
To make the coincidence sound more miraculous.
Exactly. And Torrey just calls it lying. Plain and simple. If you make up a story and say it's true, you're a liar. If you exaggerate a true story, you are a liar.
He does not mince words.
None. He says these pious frauds, lying for a good cause, are the worst kind of fraud. He completely rejects the idea that the ends justify the means. You cannot use a lie to support the truth.
He even talks about a guy who is basically stealing D.L. Moody's life story.
It's incredible. This man was going around telling these famous stories that happened to Moody, but telling them in the first person as if they happened to him.
Wow.
It's just deceptive. Torrey's rule is simple. Tell it exactly as it is, or don't tell it at all. Because if I can't trust you on the small details of an anecdote, why on earth should I trust you with the big things?
That's a powerful check. Integrity in the small things gives you authority in the big things.
Absolutely.
Okay, final piece. Delivery, you've done all the work, now you have to actually say it. And he wades right into the manuscript debate.
He does. And he is firmly on the no manuscript side. He advises against reading your speech.
But why? It feels safer. You know you won't forget anything.
It's safer, but he says it kills your freedom. It puts a wall between you and the audience. His idea is that the mind is a creature of habit.
The mental grooves.
Yes. If you've thought through your argument so clearly and logically in your prep, Your mind has already cut a path, a groove.
So the path is already there. You just have to follow it.
You just get the mental machinery started, and it will naturally follow the tracks you've already laid. The freedom comes from the discipline of the preparation, but you can't trust a groove that you haven't bothered to dig.
And just quickly, he also talks about teaching, not just preaching. The gist method.
It's basically the Socratic method. Instead of lecturing at people, you teach by asking them a series of rapid-fire questions that forces them to find the answers themselves in the text.
It makes them active participants.
It turns them from listeners into investigators. You can't fall asleep if you have to answer a question every 30 seconds.
So to pull this all together, he gives us a concrete example. He outlines the story of the prodigal son, but he frames it like a play.
The drama of life in 3 acts. It's a perfect summary of his method. He finds the structure within the story.
Act 1 is wandering. The desire for independence, which, everyone can relate to.
Exactly. Then Act 2 is desolation, the slide from pleasure into misery. And he has that amazing phrase for the son's job.
The hog tender for the devil.
Yes, it's so vivid, it just sticks in your mind.
And finally, Act 3 is return, the resolution. But he breaks it down logically. A thought, I will arise, leads to an action. He rose, which leads to the welcome. It all builds to that final verdict.
And that's Tory in a nutshell. It is all about effectiveness. It's about hard work, clear structure, and the ultimate goal of catching the fish, not just showing off your gear.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big idea we should be left with?
I think it's that communication is a stewardship. It's a craft that demands labor and discipline and, above all, rigorous honesty.
That idea of the pious fraud really is the one that lingers. The idea that you can't use a lie, even a small one, to serve a great truth.
No. The means have to match the ends. If the anecdote isn't true, the point you're making is built on sand. Your integrity in the small things is what earns you the right to be heard on the big things.
It is a profound call to take the craft seriously and to do the work.
The secret is always in the preparation.
Well, we hope this deep dive helps you catch your next big thought and pin it down before it gets away.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening, and do subscribe to our channel for more. Try to get this book and read it. Be blessed.